All good? Okay.
I was just gonna say, I bet that's not the
Thanks for sending it back.
All rise, Superior Court for the State of Washington en banc, the Honorable George F.B. Apple presiding.
Please be seated. Good afternoon and welcome to the investiture of our soon-to-be colleague, John Scott. Before I go on, for those of you who didn't get the word, the Health District has urged us to strongly recommend masks, and that is what we have been doing. I would like to draw your attention to a number of people who are present. From the Court of Appeals, Judge Cecily Hazelrig and Judge Linda Coburn. From Superior Court, retired judges Thomas Wynn, Linda Kress, and David Kurtz are here. Current judges Anita Ferris, Bruce Weiss, Joseph Wilson, Richard Okrent, Janice Ellis, Maribeth Dingledye, Jennifer Langben, Paul Thompson, Adair Nicolico, Commissioners Patrick Moriarty, Susan Harness, and Lisa McKelly. From District Court, we have Judge Howard, Judge Anthony Howard, Judge Douglas Fair, Judge Jennifer Rancourt, and Commissioner Rick Leo. From Everett Municipal Court, just across the street, we have Judge Amy Kastner and Judge Laura Van Slyke. Also, our clerk, Heidi Percy, is present. And viewing live stream, though not present, we have Judge Millie Judge, Judge Cindy Larson, and Judge Karen Moore. From Skagit County, we also have Judge Rakelmy and Judge Nidweski. With us today and with soon to be Judge Scott, a number of people to witness this investiture. Jessica Fleming, a well-respected attorney and Judge Scott's partner and accomplice in all of life's adventures. Luke Scott, Judge Scott's son, a senior at the University of Washington, Bothell, who aspires to become a lawyer. Scarlett Scott, Judge Scott's daughter, who is currently a student at Jackson High School in Mill Creek, and whose only current aspiration is to sow beneficent chaos wherever she goes. I'm sure that's, I didn't write this, Scarlett. I'm sure it was meant in a good way. Shannon Scott, a talented attorney and co-parent of Luke and Scarlett. Also present, and I have introduced him, is Judge Anthony Howard, but also his wife Kelly and their amazing boys, Maddox and Finley. And welcome also all of you. I will say that it gives me great pleasure to be involved in the investiture of Judge Scott. I have known him for many years. We go back, I would say, about 20 years. We had a number of cases together. One learns a lot about a person when one is opposite them in trial. I would like to assure you, because I know John Scott, that he's a hard worker. He's an able lawyer, and he's an honorable man. I can also let you know, since I know that demeanor is one of the most important and also sometimes the most challenging thing for a judge, I can let you know a thing or two about John Scott from my experience, because I can recall specifically a particular case from years and years ago, very serious case, high stakes, and a very sensitive matter. And I specifically recall that when the case was over, two court staff, a court reporter and a clerk, had very high praise for him. The way he handled sensitive matters on a very difficult and challenging case. I draw this to your attention because I do think it speaks to his demeanor. So I am very pleased and honored to be swearing him in this afternoon. But first, I would like to direct your attention to Judge Anthony Howard, who has a few remarks to make. Judge Howard.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My man, John. So when John asked me to speak today, I wasn't sure how this was going to go. And so I don't really have anything prepared, so you can go on this journey with me. When I think of John, I think mostly in terms of how smart he is and how generous he is and the impact that he's had on me. So John and I, hi, Judge Gillings, welcome.
Come on up, Fred.
So John and I met when I was 20 years old. I was working for a pharmacist named Dale Scott, and I was kind of lost and naive and didn't have a place to stay. And Dale Scott and I were close, and he had some issues. I think you would agree. Wonderful man, but many issues. And I sort of took care of him in the pharmacy. And I didn't know at the time, but his son, John, recently out of the Marines, was at home taking care of him when he went home. I needed a place to crash. So Dale offered me their couch. And I don't know what John thought about that at the time. I don't know that I want to know. But in any event, I found myself amongst two really smart, brilliant people who were different from anyone I had ever been around. They had opinions on politics and knew what was happening in the world outside of our bubble and read books and stuff. I had never been around that. And what struck me most was just John Scott's confidence. And I mean that in a complimentary way. He balances confidence and without getting into arrogance. And I think you all probably have seen that for many years in the legal community here. But John knew he was going to get a college degree. He knew that he was going to be a lawyer. He knew he was going to be a public defender, and there was no question about it. It was going to happen. And I saw that and started to think that perhaps I could do something like that too. And I followed his path and I was behind him in school, went to law school. I was even the editor of the school paper after he was the editor, and then followed him into public defense work. And his confidence helped me be confident enough to do something that was sort of outside the realm of possibility given my upbringing. And so I'm thankful for that. To demonstrate that, I have a story that I'll tell. John, in one of these serious cases that he often finds himself involved in, had a serious violent felony case, assault one, rob one, attempted rob one, and a bird one. And he was opposed by Helene Bloom from the prosecutor's office, who I've always thought is one of the finest prosecutors we've ever had in this county. And they go in for jury selection, and lo and behold, there was a name on the list of Stephen Dwyer. So, Stephen Dwyer is a very well-respected, brilliant legal mind in this community. He was a district court judge, superior court judge, and at the time had been an appellate court judge, and he remains there today. And the thing about Steve Dwyer is he is, more than maybe anyone behind me, is really an intimidating presence, and can, let's say, write scathing criticisms of trial judges and lawyers in his opinions. But I knew as soon as I heard that Judge Dwyer was on that jury that John was going to keep him on that jury because he's confident in his arguments, and and actually I'm more surprised that Helene kept Judge Dwyer on that jury. And I think that has served him so well in that he's also just a really generous person. So I see a lot of lawyers in this room who undoubtedly have gone to John when you needed some help with your case or your legal issue. And I certainly did that before I got on the bench. And he's the one that you go to because he's brilliant. Actually, to demonstrate the confidence and brilliance, I asked him, is there anything you want me to say when I talk today? And he said, what'd you say? Yeah, you said, just go to the thesaurus, look up brilliance and nobility, and then just go from there. And so our lives intersect in so many different ways that it was hard for me to figure out what to say here today. John in law school found Shannon Thompson, and Shannon had this hot younger sister. And she didn't like me much, but 10 years later, I wore her down and we ended up married to sisters. And so John and I are we're married to the sisters, and we have our village here as a result. And I need the water trick that the other judges use. If I hadn't been on his couch, and if he hadn't corrupted me along the way and showed me the way, I wouldn't have the great life I have and that we have. So, thank you.
Thank you, Judge Howard. And now would you please direct your attention to Ms. Kathleen Kyle of the Snohomish County Public Defender. Director Kyle.
It is so nice to be here in person, even though we are still masked. And I just want to take a moment, and John, you can take this moment, because to have a branch of the government behind you is kind of awesome. So I'm just going to enjoy this for a second. Technically, on an org chart, up until yesterday, I was John's boss. But we've always had a very collegial relationship, and I never thought of myself as his boss. I do want to give credit to the finders of this talent. Bill Jaquette, the former director of the Public Defender's Office, is here, as is Jennifer McIntyre. And they had seen a lawyer arguing Ralges in Superior Court, and it turned out he was a AAA public defender for the city of Everett. And we should get that guy over here. He likes to write a lot of motions, a lot of briefs. And that is how John came to be at the Snohomish County Public Defenders Association more than 20 years ago. And he dabbled in private practice from time to time. And if anybody wants to dabble in private practice from time to time, you can always come back home, because that way I'll do the administrative part and you can do the part that you really like, which is to be in courtrooms. To talk about John is to talk about a powerhouse. This is a person who loves a comprehensive understanding of the case before him. He loves to intersect the facts and the law. He doesn't shy away from that work. I think Judge Apple called it hardworking. That's not the right word in the thesaurus for what John did for us. The word I think of, not nobility, what was the other one? I forgot it, is fortitude. That John's character strength is that this man has tremendous fortitude. And if you think about this in a more personal tone, instead of a couch to a 5K run, this is a man who went from a desk chair to a half Ironman triathlon. And that is just one example of his fortitude. Another example of his fortitude is that the true myth is he did a closing argument in a jury case, and it turned out he was bleeding beneath his suit because he'd gotten in a car accident on the way to the court, and he just did it anyways. And if I need any other proof of this man's fortitude, you're about to meet Luke Scott, who luckily speaks after me, and then also his daughter, Scarlett, who both have their own even much more depth of fortitude that I'm just privileged to stand here and it's been a privilege to see you, both of you, grow up. Fortitude is a quality that you want in a judge, particularly for the practitioners here, that this is a man who does not shy away from discomfort, that there is value in discomfort, that, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. That will be the courtroom that he gives you. And he's going to make those hard hearings better. He's going to get you from the beginning to the end, and it's going to get to a resolution. He's going to listen, he's going to analyze, and he's going to rule. He's going to be the triathlete of judges. Fortitude is also a quality you want as a benchmate. And I will tell you, as the director of a public defender organization, that there are times that you're not sure what to do. And there are times where you're confronted with a new situation that you did not envision. And so if you need a little dash of fortitude, this is your colleague. And if you don't want to have a discussion about it, that's okay. Sometimes it's really just to look in those blue eyes and get that knowing head nod of like, we're going to figure it out. He doesn't always have the solution, but he does have that confidence of we're going to get through it. And that I have taken withdrawals from that Fortitude Bank over the years. And you all are very lucky to have that at your disposal. In thinking about what's going to happen, you're going to put on this black robe here after your son speaks, that it is kind of like the beginning of a triathlon, that your armor will now be a robe and not a wetsuit. And you may think to yourself sometimes, what have I got myself into? But just to know that this is the beginning of a new adventure, and we are all here to recognize the brilliance of this new adventure, and we look forward to it. Welcome to the bench, John.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Kyle, and your remarks about his fortitude have helped me decide to whom to assign a particularly thorny case, so I appreciate that. Next, would you please turn your attention to Luke Scott?
So many of you already know me, or at least knew me as the preschool dropout menace to society I was as a child. For those who don't know, my name is Luke Scott, and I have spent the past 21 years as a son, as a friend, and as a mentee to John Scott. I would not be half the man that I am today without his patience, his advocacy, and the commitment that he has always shown to me and my family. So thank you, Dad. Now, when I think back on growing up, I don't remember my dad being wrong a lot. And I know that right now is like the last time he probably needs an ego boost, but it's true. The two kinds of people, though, that he could never quite wrap his head around were judges and golfers. How things changed. And how he changed. I suppose you kind of have to be good at change when one of your kids is transgender and the other one has a rare and incurable illness. And I've seen that change. Always. He changes in the right ways for the right reasons, whether it is finally giving in to that yearning to play golf, or it is or it is surgery after surgery after surgery for my sister, or it is learning to use a new name and pronouns for a son that he called a daughter for 14 years. He always finds the right reasons and the right ways to change. In terms of myself, last time a lot of you saw me, I was about 1.5 feet shorter and less well-behaved. I'm just finishing up my first political campaign to be the president of the student body at UW. I am a nationally celebrated and awarded and competitor in the speech and debate team of which I am captain. And he has supported me at every step of the way, no matter what it is I wanted to do or who it is that I wanted to be. Now, as an openly queer and transgender man who is engaged to a first-generation immigrant, who has the family that I have, and who aspires to either be a public defender or to enter into public office, hear me as a representative for the next generation of public servants. When my time comes and I either step into that courtroom or up to that podium to represent the people, I can only hope that it will be men like my father that will hear my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke, but don't go away. At this time, Mr. Scott, would you come forward? And if your children would now, at this time, stand by. What I'm going to do is I'm going to administer an oath, and then your father is going to be a judge, and it'll be time to put that robe on. So if you could stand by. Now, John, I've got one of these for each of us. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, John T. Scott,
I, John T. Scott,
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge
the duties of the office of Superior Court Judge
the duties of the office of Superior Court Judge
according to the law and to the best of my ability.
according to the law and to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Secret, take the jacket off first. Trust me. I did the same thing at mine. It was really hot. Now, Judge Scott, do you have a few remarks?
I do have a few remarks. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I guess I should start by thanking the governor, complimenting him on a thoughtful and inspired choice he made in this appointment. I kid, of course. The funny thing about that is that this process is difficult to start with because you have to go and you have to seek support. You have to ask people that you respect and that you admire to endorse you, to write letters for you. And it's a bit much at first. It's hard to get used to trying to do that. But then they say these great things about you. They write these letters that are amazing. And they say these things, they give these speeches on your behalf. And you sit there and you read these and I listen to these and I think, who are they talking about? Is that me they're talking about? So it's humbling. And I'm grateful for everything that everyone has said and everything that everyone has done for me. This bench is amazing. These judges were so supportive before I was appointed. They were so welcoming after I was appointed. It has been an amazing process. I want to thank Presiding Judge Apple for presiding here today, for swearing me in. As he said, I've known him for a long time. I have learned a lot from him, and I've learned a lot from everyone in this community. I was raised as a lawyer here. I grew up in Snohomish County legal community as a lawyer. I started over in Everett Municipal Court as a Rule 9 intern. They kind of let me do what I wanted over there. So I would file ralges and appeals and writs and whatever was in the book, they weren't going to stop me. So I tried it all. They weren't going to pay me to do any of that. I mean, so I had to transcribe my own trials from recordings. And I can tell you that if you want to learn how to be a better trial attorney, do that. Transcribe your own trials from recorded materials. You will visit the well of regret often, but you will learn as you go. I came to the Snohomish County Public Defender's Office, I think in 2002. And it was such a vibrant place. Bill Jaquette was the director who was here. Thank you for hiring me a number of times. But his hiring philosophy has been described to me as hire smart people and get out of their way. And I found that to be true. The people that were at that office made it amazing. When I got there, in the misdemeanor unit, there was Anna Alexander, now a judge. Jennifer Rancourt was a judge, or is a judge now. Amy Kastner was in the misdemeanor unit. Our supervisor was this great trial attorney who would go on to become a Snohomish County Lawyer of the Year, and now Judge Dingledye sits on the bench. It was just a great place to be able to bounce down the hallways and just talk about whatever legal issue you had, whatever case somebody had, and to learn and to grow and to become a better attorney in that community of people. And it continued on. In 2011, I was misdemeanor supervisor for a little bit, 2010 and 2011. And there was this great attorney who was just razor sharp on tactics, on the law. And my work in supervising her was basically to validate all her choices and to encourage her to do greater things. And now Linda Coburn is on the Court of Appeals after being a judge in Edmonds. I had a major case where I co-chaired with Whitney Rivera, who many of you know, who is now a judge in Edmonds Municipal Court. Co-chairing a case with Whitney, it's like co-chairing a case with a supercomputer, but everybody likes the supercomputer better than me. So, nobody really wants to talk to me. They know she's going to have the answer, and she's better to talk to anyway. So, but amazing again. I co-chaired a case with Judge Paul Thompson. There was some discussion of judicial demeanor. He's the Mount Rushmore of judicial demeanor. I don't think his pulse ever gets above like 50. You can't get that guy too excited. But smart and thorough and always checking and challenging and making you examine what you're doing and why you're doing it. The same is true of our judges. The same is true of our prosecutors. This process of becoming a lawyer and learning and growing, it takes everything from everyone. The law clerks, the court clerks, they all have a lesson to teach, and you learn it as you go. The prosecutors in this county, in this building, are good prosecutors, and they challenge you. They make you work hard. You try to make them work hard. But it makes you grow as a person. It makes you grow as an attorney. And, I appreciate that. I appreciate everything and every opportunity that I've had that has led to this moment. The judges, I have seen them and been around for a long time. I'm old enough to have been yelled at by Judge Allendorfer, and to, see his appreciation for creativity and for, good briefing. I have, I've had many trials in front of Judge Cowsert, in front of Judge Weiss, in front of Judge Wilson, so many judges, and each one you take away something, right? You learn something about that judge, which you like, and which you think that was good. That's a good way to do things, or whatever lesson you take away, it helps you grow. And I'm taking all of that. I've had I've had cases footed by Judge Thorpe, right? And if you know, you know. I mean, I would love to do that. I would love to take that to the bench, but I don't have the bass in my voice to get to where he got on footing a case. Sometimes I would be ready and I would just foot the case, just to hear Judge Thorpe say foot the way he would say foot. You know, I've been admonished by Judge Kress on trial confirmation calendars where, you know, I would move to continue and she would say, counsel, I don't know how we're ever going to get these cases resolved if you keep continuing the cases. And also where I've confirmed the case for trial and she said, counsel, I don't know how you attorneys expect we're going to get all these cases out next week. And it was the same calendar, same calendar. But I have such respect for this bench and I'm so excited to be here and to start. So I want to just thank everyone for this moment and I really appreciate it. Before I go, I think I would be remiss if I did not say something about the person who I'm replacing. My friend, Cassandra. She was like the most joyful jurist, right? She loved life and she loved people. And I inherit things from her, both items and responsibilities. I will now be the owner, I understand, of the prettiest Teglins book in the whole county. And I will reference it often when with flourish in her honor. It is pink and it is glorious. In terms of responsibility, what she cared about most was that people got respect, that people were heard, that people left her courtroom knowing that they had due process and win or lose, that they were heard and that their situation was valued. I shared office space with her in 2013 and 2014, and I saw that in real time. I saw people would come in with a story of some injustice where they were marginalized or because of national origin or because of race. And she would take their case. It didn't matter whether they could pay her. Sometimes they thought she made half of her salary in baked goods because they would bring her food and they would love her. And it was the whole family. And she understood that. And she brought that to the bench. And I intend to carry that forward. I thought about this last week when Judge Downs, retired Judge Michael Downs called me to congratulate me on the appointment and to give me a few pointers and just to have a conversation. And he left, he closed the conversation by saying this. He said, John, just remember, if it's not about people, it's not about anything. And I thought about it, I thought that was right. And I thought, Cassandra Lopez-Shaw lived that example. So as I go forward on the bench, I'm going to do the things that I promised the governor I would do. And then I will promise you I will do. I will be fair. I will be efficient. I will be well prepared. And as I do those things, I will remember the lessons from Cassandra and the advice of Michael Downs. Thank you all very much.
Just a moment, Judge Scott. May I trouble you for a signature? The first of many. Now you may take your place on our bench. And members of the legal community, this represents a happy occasion. We had a sad one not long ago. I'm now going to invite you at this time on behalf of Judge Scott down to the Edward D. Hansen Conference Center at Angel of the Woods Arena for a reception to follow immediately. And with that, court is adjourned.
All rise.
always remember. Like that was like.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody's had kid quiz. Yeah. Yeah.